As the Senate prepares for what should be a major debate over its upcoming climate bill, the Secretary of Energy says pricing carbon through legislation to cap and price carbon won't be enough to put the U.S. on a cleaner energy path. Clean Sky's Tyler Suiters asked the Secretary about those comments yesterday. Now, he is raising these doubts, Tyler, but he does support a cap-and-trade system.
Right, Susan. He was clear about that later. He very much towed the Obama administration line, saying that we still support a cap on carbon. But he qualified that, saying there have to be all kinds of other things we would like to have happen as well. Secretary Chu was the only witness at yesterday's Senate Energy Committee hearing. The topic was clean energy research and development, but the members of the committee brought him off subject consistently. Chairman Jeff Bingaman started his questioning, though, bringing it back to clean energy, saying a price signal is not enough to transform the U.S. transportation sector, especially. The Secretary agreed, yes, that will be a difficult sector with a price signal. Maria Cantwell followed up on that. Remember, she's a co-sponsor of the CLEAR Act, kind of an alternate climate bill, and she pressed Secretary Chu on the bigger picture here in the other industries and the potential effects of a price signal.
A price signal in many sectors would not be enough. We just talked about transportation, a price on carbon. The price signal that would end up on the gasoline would not be enough based on CBO estimates of what it would do, let's say Waxman Markey would do to the price of gasoline. So you have to get it through other things. I think some of the things have to be regulatory, as in a standard. The price of the efficiency of if you have a satellite TV box or cable TV, you know, that thing draws 10, 20 watts. There's no price signal that will actually make that draw 1 watt, whereas the engineers can make it draw 1 watt. It might increase the cost of manufacturing of that little box by just a little bit. So there you just have to say you've got to regulate that, just as we do refrigerators. So you look at all the sectors. Some of them there will be price signals. Some of them there will be. This is where we have to be by 2050 and 2040 and 2030. And there are all of these things. A pure price signal alone can't get us there. That's why we're looking at renewable portfolio standards. That's an artificial market draw to make sure that you will have, if American manufacturers get into this business, that they will have a product to sell.
Now, it's always interesting to talk to the Secretary because he often takes something of a professorial tone when he's answering questions. He wants you to understand matters as well as he understands them. Now, when I talked to him after the hearing, I asked Secretary Chu about his strong endorsement, at least that's how it seemed, a strong endorsement of regulation in addition to a price signal on carbon. Mr. Secretary, you mentioned the need for regulation to some degree to send that price signal. In your mind, how far would that regulation extend?
Well, there's regulation of many things. There's regulation in terms of energy efficiency, in terms of appliance regulation, things like that. I think we're doing that. We're expanding the efficiency standards into other sectors. We're updating the old ones. We're updating the Energy Star with EPA. So that's part of the regulatory things. I think we have to, just so that there isn't speculation that enables the type of trading we saw in some of the mortgage things. We don't want that to occur. I think if you, as far as I know, when we started a cap-and-trade program on SOx and NOx in the Clean Air Act, there wasn't this taint of, people from Wall Street making tons of money. It actually was a market system that worked. The price of ratcheting down the emissions of SOx and NOx was about 5 times less than what industry originally projected. Part of it was that technology kept on getting better and better, and part of it, quite frankly, was the trading mechanism.
Now, my follow-up question to the Secretary was, in the absence of legislation, would you support the regulation of CO2? The Secretary said, yes, I would support it, but he qualified it a little bit, Susan, saying we're talking about policies to decrease CO2 here in the U.S. and throughout the world. So again, towing the administration line, if not legislation, then yes, regulation to cap CO2.
Okay, so now these Republican senators had some questions for the Energy Secretary about nuclear, and he's actually coming back to the committee soon to talk about just that.
A lot of questions about nuclear. And going in, Susan, Chairman Bingaman talked to his fellow committee members, saying to them, Secretary Chu is going to be back in the coming weeks. A reminder that we'll talk about nuclear issues going forward. Today, let's focus on clean energy R&D. That didn't happen. Yesterday, Republicans hit up Chu again and again about the Blue Ribbon Commission on nuclear waste issues, which Chu has promised to convene. He said there have been delays. He did not want to get into the details of why, but he said that this would happen soon, and he is pushing hard to bring together this commission. February 9th is the date for a hearing that will, in the Energy Committee's words, receive testimony on the Department of Energy's loan guarantee program. Yes, of course, nuclear energy will again be front and center there. Chu, however, Susan, is not on the official witness list, not yet. But again, Chairman Bingaman said yesterday that the Secretary would be back in the coming weeks, so we'll have an entirely new round of questions with the Secretary then.
All right, Tyler Suiters, thank you.
You're welcome.